So thank you all for coming out this morning. Again, we have some good news that we're happy to announce. There's still a lot going on around us, and COVID-19 is still spreading throughout our community. Fortunately, the numbers are down, but as we transition into phase 2 and reopening our economy, more businesses are reopening, and businesses that reopen in phase 1 will be increasing capacity. And as the weather warms up, more and more people are going outdoors, so we need to make sure everyone is protected, particularly those who are most vulnerable in our population. That's why we are here today, and I am excited to announce that the City of Shreveport has partnered with South Carolina-based SC Health to provide 10,000 masks to our most vulnerable citizens. This partnership was arranged by former Evangel LSU NFL superstar Josh Booty, and I'm grateful to Josh and SC Health. At this time, I would like to invite Josh up to the podium to share a few words with us.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate all that you do in the city and for the state of Louisiana. Of course, it's always great to be back in my hometown. Of course, grew up here, family still here, grandparents, uncles, aunts. I have twin boys here that go to Evangel, so I'm, of course, it's always fun to come back and to be able to give back to the city means a lot to us. We're doing 10,000 masks, as the mayor mentioned. We're donating to Families Helping Families, and we've got the sweet ladies that are running these organizations here today. Caddo Council on Aging is another one, the ARC another one, and New Horizons. So these groups are well deserving, and of course they work hard in the community to do the things that they do to make Shreveport and a better place for all the people that are involved in these organizations. I have a great team. SC Health is the company that I'm a partner in. We've got guys from all over the country that have come together to build this team, and Alex, who I'm going to introduce in a minute, Skarotic, is our CEO, and we have him today on the video feed. We also have another partner I wanted to mention, Frank Molak, who is another majority owner in the company and one of my best buds. So I wanted to introduce Alex, and he'll tell you a little bit more about SC Health and the vision for our company and why we're here today. But thank you again for letting me be here, and I'm glad that we could help the city that means a lot to me. Alex?
Okay, appreciate that, Josh. Yeah, first and foremost, thank you, Mayor Perkins, for being able to set this up for us. We did a similar event here in Columbia, South Carolina with Mayor Benjamin. He's a big fan of yours as well. And Josh is a great friend and great business partner, and we wanted to be able to give back in as many communities as possible. And with Josh being from Shreveport, it's a big deal for him and for us to be able to give back to that community. So we wanted to, first of all, just thank everybody for that also. We want to thank the Families Helping Families organization also. Hopefully it's able to give back and give back to the community, which is our main objective here as we reopen phase 2 to get the businesses back up and running and provide hope in these communities. So that's our main focus. That's our main goal as we build our business and build our brand and build our organization. It's not always about capital. It's not always about making money. It's also about giving back. So all the sales that we're generating and that we're making, we want to make sure that our main focus is the integrity and honesty and giving back to the families and the people that need it. At the end of the day, that's who needs it most. And we're going to continue that tradition in numerous other states and numerous other cities here over the next several months as we reopen phase 2, phase 3, et cetera. So just really appreciate everybody there, and thank you so much.
I grew up watching Josh on TV, so it's pretty cool to have him back in the city. I also want to acknowledge we have Councilwoman Tabitha Taylor here as well. Hey, Councilwoman, good to see you. Even though many of us are continuing to reopen and get out more, some people in Shreveport are over the age of 65 or have underlying health conditions that make them high risk of severe illness due to COVID-19. Unfortunately, many who have many that are staying at home do not have air conditioning units, and heat is one of the leading weather-related causes of death during the summertime. Since seniors are safer sheltering in place, the City of Shreveport is launching our Beat the Heat program. We have set aside $100,000 in community development block grant emergency funds to provide Shreveport's elderly and disabled citizens with free air conditioning units. Applications will be accepted on the first come, first served basis from June 5th until June 19th, 2020 through the Department of Community Development. I want to thank Bonnie Moore and her staff, her all-star staff, for all their hard work. Is Director Moore here? She's not here today? Okay. And lastly, even more good news, I am happy to announce that the City of Shreveport will not be implementing a mandatory furlough program at this time. Shreveport was budget constrained prior to COVID-19. I inherited a $1.2 million deficit, so we tightened the purse strings and we are able to turn the deficit into a $4 million surplus, but COVID-19 has unfortunately wiped out that surplus. As you all know, we initially projected a $25 million shortfall due to the pandemic. We were very deliberate and thoughtful throughout this entire process. We approached this crisis focused on balancing the city's budget while protecting essential services that citizens rely on and their livelihoods of our employees. We implemented a voluntary furlough program, which 84 employees were approved for. CAO Henry Whitehorn and CFO Sharika Jones also worked alongside department heads to identify just over $6 million in budget cuts on top of the already proposed council. These savings include everything from cuts to non-personnel related expenditures to deferred capital projects and funded vacancies in nearly every department. What they do not include are cuts to public safety. This is good news for the City of Shreveport, both for our employees and our residents. CEO Henry Whitehorn and CFO Jones are here to provide any additional information you might need and answer questions. Any questions?
Mayor, what about the money for the body cams?
Mm-hmm.
Where is that coming from, and when will they come?
Yeah, so we're working right now with federal agencies to provide the money, but myself and all of the council members are committed to getting body cameras for our police officers as soon as possible and making sure that the policies attached to those body cameras keep our officers and our citizens safe.
So are you looking at a month, 2 months?
Right now, I'm not sure on the timeline. I don't want to give you a specific, but I just know that we're working as quickly as we can. I'm getting an update from the police department every single day.
Mayor, back to the COVID-19 and what's happening with the demonstrations. There's lots of national public health saying we could be due for a second spike in this because of the number of people that are gathering. Some people are not wearing masks.
Yeah.
As city and parish public health gathered to talk about what could happen?
So we have not gathered yet in a meeting. I mean, there's still touch points with LDH, Louisiana Department of Health. We haven't specifically talked about that. What we have done is make sure that we put out messaging to those that are participating in the demonstrations to wear face coverings if possible, keep social distance if possible, and they got to remain safe because essentially it's a crisis within a crisis right now. And we need to make sure that people know that this virus is still real and still present.
Will you be giving out masks at some of those demonstrations to those who don't have them when they appear?
We're looking for resources to do that. I've maintained my commitment to making sure we keep the demonstrators safe. Obviously, they're safe from any threats, and COVID-19 is clearly a threat. So if we have the resources, we'll very much assist demonstrators in having face covers. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make sure I'm clear on the subject of budget cuts. I believe you said that your administration has identified $6 million in additional savings and cuts. That would be in addition to the $19 million plus that you proposed.
My CFO is here, and she can specifically answer that question.
What was the second part of that question?
Is the 6 made in addition to the 19 made?
In front of the microphones, please. Thank you. Did you hear my question?
I didn't hear the second part of your question.
So, the $6 million in additional cuts and savings, in addition to the $19 million plus already proposed, I have that math correct. We're talking about, at this point, then $25 million approximately that the city administration has identified.
Right. The directors presented a number of cuts, and $19 million was presented to council. There was an additional exercise, and yes, the additional amount of money was $6 million that came from directors.
Does this all have to be approved by the council?
Any budget cuts have to be approved by the council.
All now 19 plus 6 million?
You know that 19.6 included public safety. That has been taken off of the table. There are no cuts to public safety.
Okay. So the 6 million now identified essentially replace that figure?
It replaced some of it, right, and then it adds some additional savings to the table.
Okay. And so will this all go before the council this next meeting?
Yes, it's a budget reading, budget amendments are 2 readers, so the council will see it for the first time. They will introduce it at the next meeting. Subject to approval, we'll request for approval at the last meeting in June.
So has the administration been working with council to get this pushed through?
Yes, so there has been some initial discussions with council. We've sent a memo to council to give them the additional cuts and to give them a full picture of what the administration is looking at. We had a meeting last week with members of the Audit and Finance Committee, and we talked through what those cuts included, as well as what they'll see on the agenda. So the budget amendments coming up will include a number of amendments from different funds, community development, MPC, water and sewer, general fund, riverfront, across the board areas that we've looked at to find ways that we can, withhold spending. So the council is, the Audit and Finance Committee meeting that was scheduled last week included us going through those cuts, and then the total council will see it on next week.
Can you expand more on where the $6 million was found in savings and cuts?
Right, so, this was money that wasn't necessarily found. I mean, it was in the budget planned for services, but the city right now is under a hiring freeze, a strict hiring freeze. So between that and then the fact that we're under a pandemic, which has put us in a situation where, some services have been constrained. So that has provided ways that we can, are able to save money, as well as identifying things that can be delayed for spending.
So that total is $25 million that will be able to be used to offset this.
That $25 million included public safety. Public safety is not on the table.
So we're subtracting the public safety from the original.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's fire and police, those cuts.
That's correct. Yes.
Was the Audit Finance Committee meeting available by Zoom? I don't recall getting any notice of that meeting.
I don't have the details on that.
It was,
So we wanted to make sure that we talked to council as soon as possible once we worked through all the numbers. I called the chairman of the Audit and Finance Committee, so there was no full meeting. We called the chairman and asked him if they had they don't have a vice chair, but asked him if he wanted another council member to sit on the call. So there were additional council members on that call, but it wasn't a quorum or it wasn't an official Audit and Finance meeting due to the sake of time.
is that Councilman Nicholson? I
Yes,
forget.
yep, Councilman Nicholson is the chairman of the Audit and Finance Committee. Any other questions at this time?
The 25%, you see the restaurants going now to 50%, and the tattoo and all that, that's still 25%, correct?
Which is still 25%.
That's 25, the tattoo parlor.
Phase 2 is going to be 50%. 25% for those that are new, that weren't open during Phase 1.
That's what I was saying.
Yep. So they'll be able to open up to 25% capacity. And with that being said, we still encourage everybody, if possible, to make sure that you call in for reservations so you don't have to queue in long lines or, be at risk of not being able to social distance from others as well. So even though we're going to Phase 2, please still exercise caution.
And ballparks are still open now? How is the Parks and
You're-
Recreation?
So Parks and Recreation during Phase 2, we'll probably do another kind of phased approach rather than just opening up everything. But you said ballpark, so you made me think about baseball. Obviously, we've passed our policies are in line with the Louisiana High School Sports Association to make sure that everybody is on the same timeline to play out. We've allowed our Little League to conduct the practices There's 14 days of required practice before they can play any games. So we've allowed them to conduct practices before that date, but they can't have any games where there'll be, you know, bigger, larger gatherings until that date. All right. Well, thank you all for coming out. Again, I want to thank Josh Booty and SC Health. I want to thank my Chief Financial Officer and Chief Administrative Officer for all the hard work, and I want to thank the city employees as well for all of their hard work. And I'm glad we were able to make that announcement today where there are no furloughs. Please, if you're elderly and you're watching this, please, or if you're a senior in our community, please sign up for this program. We want to help to make sure we keep you safe this summer. Thank you.